possibly better to redistribute wealth then so that others are able to rise up, join the middle class, procure a better education so that they're a better workforce on a global scale.
Redistribution of wealth does not achieve competition, because it turns out that what actually achieves competition is the sort of values that you impose in your work life. This is why if you have a bunch of people who win the lottery, disproportionately people who are poor and win the lottery end up poor again. The reason people are permanently poor in the United States is not because they don't have money, it's because they suck with money. The reason people are temporarily poor is because they don't have money. The reason they're permanently poor, okay, this is self-evident, folks, that's not even controversial. If you're poor in America your entire life, you are not great with money by definition. Okay, if you are, name me one person in America who's phenomenal with money, but is poor for 80 years in the United States. Anybody? Names? Anyone? Okay, military veterans. Okay, military. Okay.
Test. I'm sorry, Mr. Shapiro. I'm at a point right now, quite frankly, where I'm going to dismiss the students. I know there are other questions that would like to be asked.
Why?
With all due respect, Mr. Shapiro, Mr. Shapiro represents a narrative that he's providing to all of you guys based off of his opinions, what he believes, and what he wants to share with all of you. I know that the education was there for all of you to understand left side, right side, whatnot, but also the opportunity was allowed for him to impress upon you some of his opinions about certain things. And I think the lesson was there for me to understand and also for all of you to understand. I think what this is getting into now is it's starting to cross the line. And
what would that line be?
Why are they crossing the line? I don't see nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong at all.
Let me ask this
You're
question.
the one who's crossing the line.
Let me ask this question. If, for those students who would like to be dismissed, I'm allowing you to go ahead and do so at this time. For those of you who would like to continue to listen, you can remain and listen to Mr. Shapiro and also the information that we have.
I know. I'm telling you, Mark. What's this one?
Keep on asking questions. There's still people who want to say.
I'm going to get the mic.
Guys in the classroom with a monologue on politics without kids walking out. That'd be awesome. Since I'm not from the state of California, I can't do that.
So what is your formal education background? So I guess a lot of people don't know what your undergraduate degree was in.
So I was at UCLA in political science and then Harvard Law School.
Okay. So you don't have, you wouldn't consider yourself an expert in sociology?
I mean, I don't consider sociology a particularly expert field, but go ahead. I think I'm able to read a sociological study.
But so you're not necessarily an expert.
Yes, there are lots of fields of study.
Right. Well, what I'm getting at is there's a lot of topics.
Let's put it this way: I know a lot less about welding than I do about sociology.
What I'm getting at is that you're not considered an expert in sociology, psychology, gender studies, lesbian dance theory, any of these things that you've brought up tonight.
I know a lot more about all those others than lesbian dance theory. As far as, if you want to take issue with the argument, I would urge you not to use the argument from authority, which is somebody has a PhD by their name, they know what they're talking about. That's a dumb argument.
What I'm trying to get at is that the fact that you have any other further education in any of these topics or any of these fields of study.
I don't need a 7-year degree in sociology to know bullshit when I hear it.
And granted, that's your opinion.
Right, because I'm here, yeah, giving it.
That would mean that you're also offering kind of an unqualified opinion on a lot of these topics.
See, again, you're just making the argument from authority. I don't think slapping a PhD from Ferris State next to your name makes you an expert in all things in the field in which you propose to speak. Okay, the fact is that either my argument's good or my argument's bad. Citing to my credentials is a really bad way of making an argument. It's like it's actually the equivalent of, it's so funny, when people do this, it's the equivalent of actually a religious person saying, citing to the Bible for an argument. I'm a very religious person, right? I mean, see this? This is the yarmulke. Okay, I'm a religious person. Okay, I never cite to the Bible. The reason I don't cite to the Bible is because that's an argument from authority. Okay, you may not believe the authority to which I'm citing. I don't believe the authority to which you're citing. So you're going to have to make me an argument as to what I'm saying that's wrong instead of just saying I don't have the properly enumerated degree from the institution of your choice.
I'm merely citing academia. If you haven't done any significant study or any type of educational, you haven't established yourself as a PhD or a doctorate in any of these programs, so how can you make a qualified opinion on any of these topics is my question.
Because I have read the studies and I can have an opinion on them.
And that's your opinion, and mine was just stated. So, thank you.
Yes, that was my opinion.
I actually want to read you something. I'm from China, an actual socialist country. And this is what the Chinese government said about political correctness. So this is an article translated by Google Translate, so I didn't make this up. In the United States, the typical manifestation of cultural Marxism is political correctness or multiculturalism. For many Americans, political correctness is a vague term that refers to a series of scattered, unconnected views of freedom and novelty, but lacking a unified character. Although these views sometimes appear highly sensitive and even confused, but if careful observations of politically correct history, it will reveal a different face. Therefore, although sometimes cultural liberalism means it is more appropriate, but more accurate expression should be cultural Marxism. In fact, political correctness is not a collection of contingent views. It is carefully arranged attacks on Western civilization. Its main objectives: one of the Christian faith and moral values. Second is the narrow white, especially white men. They are considered to be the source of most violence and exploitations in the world. So it's basically an academic article saying political correctness and multiculturalism threatening to destroy the West. Yes. So that's what a socialist government thinks. And
right.
I'm very surprised that in the liberal America, the social justice left is repeating a lot of the actions of North Korea or the 1960s Cultural Revolution China. And my grandmother, she was one of the Red Guards in the 1960s Cultural Revolution. And what she did, she landed a lot of her professors in jail. And they also had a lot of struggle sessions. And I'm so shocked by how the West does not learn from these histories. And just a few days ago, Janice Fiamingo, this anti-feminist professor at University of Ottawa, has just landed into a leftist kangaroo court at Ontario, Canada. And she was accused of human rights violation. And there was another professor. He is called Jordan Peterson.
He's the one at Toronto, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Refusing to use gender identity pronouns get him landed in social justice. I'm so shocked that people do not learn from these histories from the West.
Well, thank you very much for sharing. I appreciate that. I had a young lady, I think, from Kuwait at one of my talks recently, who said that, if I was talking about Islam, and she said, if the progressives here are determined to bring the culture I fled to the land I found and now love, they can see me outside for a good kicking. And she was, she's somebody who fled a sort of, repressive regime, came to America and discovered these marshaled forces plotting to introduce the sort of authoritarianism and to overthrow Western values, just like she'd seen where she came from. It's always very powerful to hear from somebody who is from one of these cultures, giving us a warning from elsewhere. I try to do it from Europe, but it isn't always sufficiently different culturally to make the point. I think that made the point very well for you all. So thank you very much for sharing.